Welcome to the Global Updates, bringing you the latest news from around the world. The global economy stands at a precipice. A new trade war is brewing, this time between long-standing allies. The United States and the European Union are on a collision course. This conflict threatens to unravel decades of economic cooperation. The immediate impact is already being felt. Businesses are nervous. Markets are showing signs of instability. Consumers are bracing for higher prices on many goods. The core of the dispute involves tariffs. These are taxes on imported goods. The U.S. government, under the leadership of President Trump, has signaled a tough stance. They argue that current trade deals are unfair to American workers and industries. The specific flashpoint is the automotive sector, a giant industry for both economies. However, the conflict is quickly spreading. It now touches everything from agricultural products to high-tech components. The European Union has not taken these threats lightly. Leaders across Europe have voiced strong opposition. They see the U.S. actions as protectionist and harmful. More importantly, they view them as a violation of international trade rules. The EU is preparing its own set of countermeasures. These are designed to hit back where it hurts the U.S. economy most. The situation is incredibly fluid. Each day brings new pronouncements and new anxieties about what might come next in this high-stakes economic standoff. The current crisis was ignited by a bold move from Washington. President Trump announced a 25% tariff on European car imports. This is a significant escalation. The auto industry is a cornerstone of many European economies. Such a tariff would make European cars more expensive for American consumers, likely leading to a drop in sales for brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz. The goal is to protect American car manufacturers and create jobs. Trump argues the U.S. gets a raw deal in global trade. He points to the trade imbalance in cars. Europe exports many cars to the U.S. while imposing barriers on American cars. For many years, the European Union has been treating the United States very unfairly on trade, Trump stated. This rhetoric resonates with parts of the American electorate. They feel left behind by globalization. The tariff is presented as a way to level the playing field and put America first. The political tactics behind this move are clear. It is a show of strength. It is aimed at forcing concessions from the EU. The Trump administration believes that the threat of economic pain will bring European leaders to the negotiating table. They hope to secure a new trade deal that is more favorable to American interests. This approach is high risk. The European Union did not hesitate to respond to the American tariff threat. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen made it clear that the EU would not be bullied. The European Union will not be intimidated, she declared. If the United States imposes these unjust tariffs, we are prepared to retaliate swiftly and robustly. This strong language signals Europe's determination to protect its economic interests. The EU views the U.S. tariffs as a unilateral and protectionist measure, contrary to World Trade Organization rules and the spirit of transatlantic partnership. The EU's retaliatory measures are carefully calibrated. They are not just a random collection of tariffs. Instead, they are designed to inflict maximum political and economic pain on the United States. The list of American goods targeted for EU tariffs is extensive. It includes iconic American products, think Harley-Davidson motorcycles, Kentucky bourbon, and Levi's jeans. These products are often produced in politically sensitive areas of the U.S. The aim is to put pressure on American lawmakers to oppose President Trump's trade policies, creating internal dissent. Beyond these symbolic goods, the EU is also targeting key U.S. agricultural exports. The European Union's retaliatory tariffs are not a blunt instrument. They are more like a surgeon's scalpel, aimed with precision at vulnerable points in the U.S. economy. The selection of targeted goods goes beyond simple economic value. It considers the political landscape of the United States. By targeting products from specific states or regions, the EU hopes to create localized economic pain. This pain can translate into political pressure on elected officials. These officials might then urge the White House to reconsider its aggressive trade stance. Consider the tariffs on Harley-Davidson motorcycles. These iconic American bikes are manufactured in Wisconsin, a key political swing state. Similarly, Kentucky bourbon is a major export for Kentucky, the home state of influential political figures. The EU's strategy is to make the trade war a salient issue for voters and politicians in these areas. The message is clear. President Trump's policies are directly harming your local industries and jobs. This approach aims to divide American political opinion and weaken support for the tariffs on European cars. The agricultural sector is another prime target. The EU is a major market for American agricultural products. Tariffs on items like soybeans, corn, and rice directly impact farmers in the American Midwest and South. Echoes of the past. A history of trade skirmishes. This is not the first time the United States and Europe have clashed over trade. History is filled with examples of trade disputes between these economic giants. One notable instance was the Banana Wars of the 1990s. This dispute involved preferential treatment for banana imports from former European colonies. The United States argued this harmed American companies. It led to years of wrangling and retaliatory tariffs. Another significant episode involved steel tariffs. In 2002, the Bush administration imposed tariffs on imported steel. This was meant to protect the American steel industry. The European Union responded with threats of retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. The dispute went to the World Trade Organization. The WTO ruled against the U.S. tariffs. The United States then withdrew them to avoid a wider trade war. Aircraft manufacturing has also been a long-standing source of tension. The rivalry between Boeing and Airbus has led to numerous disputes over government subsidies. The auto industry, in the crosshairs mutual destruction? The automotive sector is ground zero in this escalating trade war. If President Trump's 25% tariff on European cars is fully implemented, the consequences will be severe. European automakers like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz would face a massive competitive disadvantage in the U.S. market. Their cars would become significantly more expensive. This would almost certainly lead to a steep decline in sales. Production facilities in Europe that build cars for export to the U.S. might have to cut output. This could lead to significant job losses in Germany, Slovakia, and other European nations. However, the pain would not be confined to Europe. The U.S. auto industry is also deeply vulnerable. Many European automakers have substantial manufacturing plants in the United States. BMW in South Carolina and Mercedes-Benz in Alabama are major employers. These plants export a significant portion of their output, including to markets outside the U.S. If the EU retaliates broadly, or if global supply chains are disrupted, these US-based plants could also suffer. They might face higher costs for imported components or tariffs on cars they export from the US. Furthermore, American car manufacturers like Ford and General Motors also have global operations. They import parts from Europe and export vehicles to various markets. A full-blown trade war could disrupt these intricate supply chains. The cost of components could rise. Access to foreign markets could be restricted. Ripple effects, beyond cars and steel. While the auto industry is the main battleground, the economic consequences of this trade war extend far beyond cars and steel. Agriculture is a major casualty. The EU's retaliatory tariffs on American farm products like soybeans, corn, and dairy are already causing pain. American farmers, already grappling with other challenges, now face losing access to a lucrative market. This can lead to falling prices for their goods, reduced income, and even bankruptcies. The agricultural heartland of America is feeling the direct impact of decisions made in Washington and Brussels. The technology sector is another area of concern. Modern economies rely heavily on technology. The US and EU are both leaders in different tech niches. Tariffs on tech goods, whether consumer electronics or specialized industrial components, can disrupt innovation. They can increase costs for businesses and consumers. For example, if the EU were to target American software services or digital platforms, it could have significant repercussions. Similarly, US tariffs on European tech components could slow down American manufacturing and development in key areas. Supply chains across numerous industries are becoming increasingly global and complex. A trade war throws a wrench into these carefully constructed networks. Shifting alliances, the China card, and global trade realignment. This U.S.-EU trade war is not happening in a vacuum. It has significant implications for global trade patterns and international alliances. One of the most watched developments is how it might affect Europe's relationship with China. If trade relations with the United States become increasingly fraught, the EU might look to strengthen its economic ties with other major players. China, as the world's second-largest economy, is an obvious candidate. Europe could seek to increase exports to China and attract more Chinese investment. This potential pivot towards China carries its own set of complexities. The EU already has a multifaceted relationship with Beijing. It sees China as a partner in some areas, a competitor in others, and a systemic rival in terms of political systems. However, economic pragmatism might push Europe to deepen trade links if the US market becomes less accessible or more hostile. This could involve new trade agreements or collaborations on infrastructure projects. Such a shift would represent a significant change in the global economic landscape. potentially reducing U.S. influence. The trade war could also impact relationships with other markets. Countries in Asia, Latin America, and Africa are watching closely. Reshaping the global economic order. The trade war initiated by U.S. tariffs on European cars and the EU's firm retaliation is more than a temporary spat. It has the potential to reshape the global economic order in profound ways. The immediate consequences are clear: economic uncertainty, higher costs for businesses and consumers, and potential job losses in key industries like auto manufacturing and agriculture. As of May 2025, the situation remains tense. There is little sign of either side backing down. This sets the stage for a prolonged period of economic friction between two of the world's largest economic blocs. The long-term implications for U.S.-EU relations are particularly concerning. These two regions have been close allies for over 70 years, bound by shared values and strong economic ties. This trade conflict is straining that historic partnership. It introduces an element of distrust and antagonism. If the dispute deepens, it could spill over into other areas of cooperation, such as security and foreign policy. Rebuilding trust and repairing the economic damage will be a significant challenge, regardless of how the immediate tariff battle plays out. Furthermore, this trade war sends a worrying signal about the future of global economic stability. It marks a shift away from multilateralism and towards a more unilateral America-first approach to trade by the U.S.,